I found some materials related to business English, so let's work with some of those texts. Virtual impressions. These days, creating a good impression is more than just shaking hands and presenting a well-designed business card when you first meet someone. That's because before you even attended a meeting with a prospective client or a potential employer, you can guarantee that they've already searched your name, checked to see if your company has a good reputation via online review sites, and even search your personal online history. To manage your online profile, start with your company's website. According to researchers at the Missouri University of Science and Technology, it takes under 3 seconds for an online visitor to start to form an opinion of your brand from the website. The researchers also tracked eye movements and discovered that visitors tend to gain their first impressions from the logo, photographs, menus, and in particular, the opportunity to make contact via social media. In other words, projecting the right kind of online image is not just about looking good, but companies should also make sure their customers can interact with them and start building a relationship. Individuals such as freelancers and job seekers also need to think carefully about their social media image before posting photos and comments online. A recent survey of 450 employers showed that more than 40% had taken a dislike to a potential employee as soon as they checked the person's Facebook page. One typical reason for rejection was finding out that the information on the CV didn't match the applicant's online profile. It's a good idea for anyone who is self-employed or looking for a job to think about how they come across to people and to make sure their online profile promotes a positive and truthful image. Dear Mr. McPhee, my name's Ivan Formanek and I have my own transaction agency, Simply Speaking. I was given your details by one of your former colleagues, Ursula Vladikova. She recommended you to me as we are planning to renew our website. If you're interested in discussing this further, could you either call us or send an email in reply and we will arrange a meeting with you. Best regards, Ivan Formanek. The life overlap. These two Venn diagrams compare how the overlap between our working life and personal life can affect us. The first diagram highlights how frustrated we can become when we try to separate our personal life from our working life. There is very little overlap in the diagram, and so this person is leading two separate lives, which often leads to frustration. In contrast, the second Venn diagram shows a much larger overlap. This kind of person tends to be reconciled to the fact that their work is also part of their personal life. They don't change their character at work, and in general they work on things that interest them and so aren't frustrated by their situation. Internships. A step on the career ladder or unpaid labor. The internship is a well-known starting point for any new graduate looking for their first step onto the career ladder. It's a good way to get hands-on work experience and a sure sign to any future employer that you have plenty of self-motivation. Many global companies now offer internship programs. In the USA, Google recruits 3,000 interns in the summer, promising the chance to do cool things that matter. The Bank of China runs an 8-week program. In Japan, one software company runs a 4-day internship with a cash incentive of 100,000 yen. And the big four audit companies, Deloitte, Ernst & Young, KPMG, and PwC employ more than 30,000 interns per year in offices in different countries, which may lead to a full-time position later on. It is true that the majority of internships do not come with a cash reward or the promise of a job offer. For many, an internship can mean some unpaid hours spent making coffee and doing someone's photocopying. However, you have to start somewhere, and in most cases, it will benefit you in the long run. Alongside some manual tasks, you'll be learning about the professional work environment and meeting future contacts. One key piece of advice when you begin is to let the company know your areas of interest. Find out if they can help you improve your performance in certain skills. Companies appreciate it When interns show interest in this way, and they will reward your enthusiasm with a reference full of praise and recognition of your achievements. This could make all the difference at your first interview for a paid job. The art of small talk. Introduce yourself and use a tagline. This can get the conversation started, as your colleague can ask a question about your hometown or your trip. When your colleague introduces herself, try to repeat her name when you reply, or use their name later in the conversation. Break the ice with a comment about a car news story or a remark about the event you're at, its location, and the weather. Avoid these topics of conversation: your health, your private life, gossip. The best conversation topics are sports, books, theater, movies, food, museums, and travel. Try and find a shared experience or something else you have in common. Keep the conversation flowing by not monopolizing it. Ask a question and really listen to your colleague's reply. Then respond with comments from your own personal experience and ask another question. Ask open questions which require more than one word answer. If your colleague asks a yes-no question, give some extra information. Use sounds like and words like really to indicate that you're listening and interested. This will motivate your colleague to tell you more. Share information about yourself, but keep it positive. People don't like colleagues who are negative or who complain a lot. A ride that runs on time. Theme parks are big business this day. Millions of visitors buy tickets to enjoy the rides at Universal Studios in Florida or Disneyland in Paris, and each year visitor expectations are higher. To survive in this competitive world, every major theme park needs new attraction, which requires years of upfront planning. Phase 1 in most projects begin with brainstorming. The theme park designers think about the story behind the ride and its imagined geographical location. No idea is considered too lazy at this stage, as there are no budget constraints yet. Once the basic idea is agreed, each part of the ride is storyboarded like scenes from a film. The images from the storyboard are then transformed into a combination of 3D models of the ride and the images on a computer. At this point, the design team presents the concept to the main project manager and tries to provide an accurate forecast of the time needed to complete the project and a realistic budget. Once the project is given the go-ahead, phase 2 begins and the project team starts to work with other engineers, model makers, and sound and lighting designers. In order not to miss the deadline, the project will need a wide range of people with specialist skills, and many parts of the process are outsourced. This is a crucial period when it's easy to run into problems. It would take one of the teams to fall behind schedule or go over budget, and the whole project could be delayed. Assuming the construction phase stays on track, there then follows a long period of safety testing and assessment of the ride's performance. Having made the launch date, the park starts to monitor visitor feedback. They survey visitors, and the overall success of the new ride will be calculated over time by the number of visitors choosing to go on the ride every hour. Five most common problems on projects. Not enough planning time. Lack of planning at the start of a project will always result in changes later on, eating up time and money. Communication breakdowns. Breakdowns can occur between the teams, individuals within teams, third-party suppliers, and the end users. Unrealistic budget. Ineffective forecasting means you run out of money, departments fall behind, resources are slow to arrive, and the project goes out of control. Not regularly checking progress. When you assume everything is going well, you might find you're suddenly faced with a huge list of problems just before the deadline. Not reviewing existing standards. If most of your projects run behind schedule and over budget, ask yourself why. If you keep doing the same thing, you'll get the same results. The Ashden Awards for Sustainable Energy. The Ashden Awards for Sustainable Energy is a charity that rewards and promotes excellent sustainable energy solutions in the UK and the developing world. Each year, the Ashden Awards holds a competition to find and reward organizations which have carried out practical and innovative programs that demonstrate sustainable energy in action at the local level. The charity raises international awareness of the potential benefit of local sustainable energy projects to deal with climate change and to improve the quality of people's lives. It also aims to encourage more people and communities across the world to take up the challenge of making major breakthroughs in meeting energy needs. The charity helps the development of sustainable energy projects in several ways. It gives cash prizes to enable winners to take their work forward. It also publicizes the winners and their work through a worldwide media campaign which aims to inspire others to follow their example. This year, the winners of the award included a project to build food bridges in developing countries and another to supply low-cost solar-powered lighting. All in the mind. Are you an extrovert or an introvert? Extroverts are often outgoing and enthusiastic. They are good with people and enjoy a public role. They prefer to do lots of things at once and can be easily distracted. They're talkers rather than listeners and can be impulsive. Introverts are often self-contained and reserved. They can be very focused when working on tasks and prefer to focus on one thing at a time. They are good listeners, they think before they act and prefer to be behind the scenes. Are you a sensor or an intuitive? Sensors are often sensible and pragmatic. They are good on details and remembering facts and specifics. They are reliable and methodical and work at a steady pace. They trust their own experience and use established skills. Intuitives are often energetic and creative. They like to focus on the big picture and on future possibilities. They like things that are new and different and prefer to learn new skills. They are thoughtful when making decisions and trust their instincts. Are you a thinker or a feeler? Thinkers usually take a rational approach to decision making and prefer to remain detached. They are honest and direct, valuing fairness. They can be ambitious and critical. They take few things personally and like arguing and debating issues for fun. Feelers are often instinctive in their decisions rather than relying on facts or reasons. Tactful and diplomatic, they avoid arguments and take many things personally. They appear warm and friendly, like to be appreciated, and are good at complimenting others. Are you a judger or a perceiver? Judgers often make decisions easily and quickly. They appreciate plans, rulers, and schedules and are usually punctual. They are determined, keep to their deadlines, and like to complete projects. They are serious and conventional and like decisiveness in others. Perceivers are often indecisive. They like to be flexible and to keep their options open. Being unconventional, they dislike rules and deadlines. They like to start projects and prefer to play now and work later. The rise and fall of outsourcing. China probably provides the majority of outsourcing for global manufacturing firms, but when it comes to offshore locations for service industries, no other country comes close to India. Take the IT industry. A whole range of products such as cars, Disney animation, and Windows software rely on the skilled workers of India. It's estimated that about two-thirds of all offshore IT work is carried out in India. Similarly, nearly 50% of all business process outsourcing services are now based in India. The growth of outsourcing in India began in the early part of the 21st century when Western businesses realized they could outsource routine work in order to concentrate on their core activities. India offered the outside expertise needed because of its ready supply of highly qualified graduates with English language skills. The sector grew quickly, and by 2010 it employed around a million people. Since then, an estimated 2 million business services jobs have shifted overseas from the USA and Europe to countries such as India, China, and Brazil. The revenue from export growth in a country like India also allowed greater investment in infrastructure and training facilities, so that now the country is able to offer even greater expertise to multinational companies, especially in IT. However, there are now signs that the outsourcing opportunities are slowing down. There are three key reasons for this. One reason is that salaries in the sector have risen very quickly, ironically, because of its financial success. As a result, Western businesses don't make the cost savings they once did. In addition, a lot of companies have already outsourced all the IT and BPO work they can. There is nothing left to outsource. Finally, and perhaps more worryingly for the outsourcing vendors in countries like India, their clients are starting to relocate parts of their business closer to home, where they believe they have greater control over areas such as quality and where their IT and BPO operations are not several time zones away from head office. Some analysts are predicting that outsourcing as we have known it might come to an end by 2025. Sanjit Kundu works for Business Initiatives Bangalore. The Bangalore region has been singled out as a prime area for European companies to outsource to. Sanjit's role is to inform potential clients about Bangalore's business connections in its IT industry. Sanjit is on tour in Europe and has been invited to make a presentation to GCV Chemicals in Belgium. This international company is considering outsourcing its IT department to a cheaper location. Outsourcing to robots. Although robots in the workplace are common in routine manufacturing processes, we have yet to see the robot revolution really take off. However, it is thought that around 35% of current jobs are at risk over the next 20 years from automation. The jobs most at risk include call center workers and telephone salespeople, basic accounting roles such as bookkeeping and routine secretarial work. At-risk jobs also tend to be those which are outsourced, and so businesses are starting to compare the costs of outsourcing with the cost of using robotic software and hardware. In a study by the management consultancy Deloitte called The Robots Are Coming, it's estimated that an offshore full-time worker is 35% cheaper than a worker based in the UK. However, a robot could be around 90% cheaper. Unlike humans, robots also work 24/7 with very few errors. Flow. Staff turnover and staff retention is one of the biggest challenges and costs in any business. Retaining employees is about matching the task to their level of skills and abilities. When employees are not challenged, they become bored and unproductive. When they are challenged too much, they become frustrated and give up. So managing employees is all about achieving flow. Flow happens when an employee is challenged at or near their maximum skill level. Employees in a state of flow lose track of time and experience true job satisfaction. Okay, that's it for now. Thank you for watching.